Welcome back to another video, guys. This is your host, Junior Garcia, and today we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about Historical Society. Let's hit the intro, guys. Hey guys, welcome to another remodel. We are in another remodel. Keep watching. So guys, if you're working in the Northeast section, all the way from Massachusetts down to Rhode Island, coming down to New York, coming to New Jersey, down into Virginias, the Carolinas, you're gonna definitely bump into Historical Society homes. And I'm gonna share with you 5 things to avoid when you're tackling on that project. It's not a regular construction project where you get a set of plans, you kind of do the takeoffs, and then after you do the takeoffs, you provide a quote, send it to the homeowner, and that's it. And then within a week, they approve the job. It doesn't work that way. It is the longest process to go through, right? So I always say, plan. In this job, plan more. It's gonna be more of investigating, planning, the whole process, all the architects that has to do with that specific home or community, because sometimes in that community, there are a lot of Tudor homes, In that community, there might be a lot of Dutch-like homes. So you have to continue the landscape of that whole community because you can't change it, right? Here are the 5 things you need to avoid when tackling on, a Historical Society project, right? So this is number 1, lack of collaboration. So lack of collaboration is this, right? There's the homeowner, there's the Historical Society, and also there's a contractor. You as a contractor, you're the main figure in this triangle, right? You have to collaborate with the homeowner. And I'm gonna tell you guys, it's gonna probably be a 60-40 that the homeowner does not know anything. They will not probably even know that there's permits that you have to apply for in order to renovate the inside of the home, or in our case, the outside of the home, for a historical home. So you have to have that collaboration. So you would do your due diligence and go out to the building department, and there's a historical department in there, and you would sit down and says, I have property, this, and that. I would like you to give me everything that has to do with this home and this neighborhood, right? And they'll probably give you a folder about this thick of what you can do, what you can replace, and what you can't replace, and what you can't touch. If it's lead, if it's asbestos, a lot of different things, right? So you will now go back to your homeowner and tell your homeowner, what do you want to do for the exterior of your home? Well, we want to do this, and this, and that. Well, the Historical Society says it's a no-no, you can't change it, that it has to be cedar, or it has to be James Hardie siding. You have to maintain the existing crown, or find a place that we can get that crown, right? So collaboration, by far, is the first. You're gonna fail. Of all these things, you're gonna fail if you do not collaborate with Historical Society, back to the homeowner, and with you. So the flow of work will continue correctly. So number 2, not getting the right permits. I explained to you, if you're a contractor already, you already know there's building permits, consist of electrical, HVAC, right, which is mechanical, plumbing, so forth, right? So you have these sides of permits. When anybody does any type of renovations, generally they will need permits. But in the Historical Society, the permits that you really need are permits from the Historical Society. And you have to give them what you're gonna do, almost in a line item, photos, different type of moldings, everything that you're gonna replace or reuse or restore to the Historical Society. So you're giving them roughly around 15 to 20 something pages, depending on how extensive the project is, right? The permits for the Historical Society supersedes the building. I would always go with the Historical Society first before the building. The building, they don't really care. Historical Society will supersede them and overrule building, because they have to maintain that home exactly the way it is. Definitely not getting the right permit. So you go to the building department, yeah, I would like to replace the siding, I would like to replace the roof or whatever, and you go get the building department, but you don't get the Historical Society permits. Guess what? They're stopping a job, and you're gonna wait a very, very, very long time, because now the Historical Society is gonna send a committee out there, inspect your home, and try to look back at the pictures that they have archived in their computers to see what type of materials they had prior before you actually touch that house. Let's go to number 3, rushing the process. So rushing the process is basically what we're getting into, right? So when you sit down with the client and the client says, in this case, I just want to redo my kitchen. Let's say hypothetically, I want to redo my kitchen. Okay, ma'am, if you want to redo your kitchen, we're going to still sit down with your architect, but before sitting down with your architect, we're going to sit down with the Historical Society. And after we sit down with the Historical Society and tell us what is permitted and what is not permitted, remember, you have to, it's so unveiling your home, you have to show all the previous pictures of the house, or let's say the kitchen or the siding, how it was before you touched anything, and tell them this is what we would like to do. What are we allowed to do in the scope or the guidelines of the Historical Society? So now you go into them and tell them, and they're basically gonna tell you can do this and you can't do that. You can't touch the wooden stove. You can't touch the stone chimney. You can't touch the floor. There's certain things you can't touch, right? Then after that, rushing the process is that you're just gonna pull out the permit. You're gonna start doing and renovating stuff and not gonna go to the Historical Society. I would say, plan, and plan more. Sit down with the homeowner, sit down with the Historical Society, sit down with the architect. I am gonna tell you, roughly, it's gonna take you 3 to 4 months before you fully plan any type of exterior or interior project. And then after you've mapped that all out and have it in paper form and able to present it to the Historical Society and get that approved, once it goes to the Historical Society, it goes to the building, it gets approved that quick, and then you can start. So I tell people, if you want to start your project, let's say hypothetically, you want to start March 1st of that year, you have to start back in September or even the summer before in the planning portion of what you're going to do, because it's a lot of planning. There's a lot of rejection. The Historical Society does not play around. They do not flake to the right, to the left. They stay within the guidelines. Number 4, avoid mismatching unauthorized materials. Pretty simple, right? Sometimes you have some materials that are no longer in use. One of the materials out there, especially if you're doing siding, right? And my industry is doing siding, is asbestos tiles. So we cannot no longer use, even though it's a historical home and the house has asbestos, you cannot mismatch that. So in this case, you would go to the Historical Society, show them the photos, ma'am, this has asbestos, we already tested, but we would like to get something that's approved through the Historical Society to use it. So then they would approve maybe James Hardie, they would approve cedar, they would approve certain exterior materials, and then with that, you can go ahead and move forward. You cannot go over asbestos in a Historical Society home. You cannot cover that. You would have to get somebody that's authorized to remove asbestos, and after you do that, then you're able to install your materials. So the other thing of mismatching is that, let's say the house was all lap siding. It was cedar lap siding and you decided to put shakes. Everybody's house on that block has cedar lap siding and you decided to change it, maybe the front facade in cedar shakes, and on the 3 sides you went lap siding, but the whole community is all lap siding. That's definitely a no-no. Right? So you never want to mismatch, and you don't want to put unauthorized materials on it. Moldings are very, very important. There's real wood moldings that are even as thick as an inch and a quarter, inch and an eighth that I've seen. And there's a place out in Fairfield, New Jersey, definitely Board and Beans, that you can find a lot of this historical moldings. They already have the knife where they'll make that molding for you. You just have to bring a sample and they'll make it in any type of wood you want. Is it expensive? Very expensive. Does it take time? About 4 to 6 weeks before they can get your molding package done for you. So plan ahead, put that in your scope of work, because it's gonna take a while before you can get that. So moldings, historical sills, different crowns, dental tooth, there's a lot of different stuff. And there's items that the Historical Society says, we don't want you to touch. Don't want you to touch. Go around it, we do not want you to touch. Especially some corbels, there might be some decorative other moldings that they do not want you to touch. They may strongly suggest is that remove it carefully and then reinstall the same one. They don't want you to replace it. The only way they will approve you to replace it is if it's totally rotted out. And with that, you still have to find a place that can try to make that Corbel or that type of molding. Number 5. So number 5 would be pricing out incorrectly and lose a ton of money. Generally, everybody has a square footage price. Everybody has roughly a price for doing renovations. People, you will ask them how much is a kitchen's gonna cost, how much is a general bathroom's gonna cost, how much is siding gonna cost, how much is roof, and you have general prices when you're doing construction job, whether it's a roof, siding, interior job. And generally, they fluctuate from $3,000 to $5,000. But when it comes to historical, totally different ball game. And I wanna make this my strongest point because pricing incorrectly, you're gonna lose out on a lot of money and you're gonna be frustrated. And when you're taking on this job, the homeowner already knows, the architect already knows, and the historical society already know that any price for this type of renovation is gonna be expensive. It's not the regular budget in renovating your home or replacing the siding. So definitely when you're pricing it out, you have to price out material, you have to price out labor, you have to price out waste, and you also have to price out time. That is the number one thing that we as contractors fail, time. Because now we might have to go to the Historical Society committee. We may have to go back into the building department. We may have to meet again with the architect. We may have to sit down again. And this is all in the planning. You know, this is all in the planning stage that you're gonna do. So if you don't put in time and you don't factor in your time, at the bottom number, you're gonna find out you really lost a lot of money. Price out materials correctly, add definitely waste, get skillmen, get professional carpenters and skilled carpenters that can do this type of work. You don't wanna hire anybody. You gotta know how to hire master carpenters that know how to deal with moldings, right? So there you have it, guys. I hope this was beneficial to you. If you're a homeowner and you're thinking about buying a home in a historical society, guys, it's something beautiful, it's a gem, it's part of history, but I'm gonna tell you, when you're gonna renovate, it's gonna be very, very expensive. Take that thought of cost into your mind because you know it's gonna be very expensive. Before I leave, the number one thing out of everything in this video, if you're a homeowner and you're gonna start renovation, number one thing you need to do is go and knock as the homeowner. Knock on everybody's door, or if you're the contractor, knock on everybody's door and say, hey, you know something? I'm gonna be renovating the Smith's home and we're gonna be starting in 2 months and just wanna let you know, and go to every single home. If it's 50 homes within that neighborhood, knock on everybody. You know why? Because if you don't, they're gonna snitch you out. They're gonna call the Historical Society on you, and guess what? They're gonna put a stop work order and they're gonna find out, what are they doing over there at the Smith's house? We didn't hear about it within the community. So definitely take some due diligence, knock on some doors, say hello, I'm doing this project. If you need any help, I'm here for you as well, and pass them a card. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, to leave a comment below. On our next video, we're gonna have a special guest. We're gonna be talking about mortgages. Keep watching. Is that there's a homeowner, there's a historical society, and then there's a contractor. And you as the contractor have to collaborate with the homeowner and the historical society all together. And I don't know what's going on. Pero baja esto.